Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's meeting, which is all committee and council as well. Today is meeting number 10. It is Monday, August 10th. We're into double digits in August already. And this is a meeting that will start as appropriately in open session, and we are going very quickly into confidential, so that if you've tuned into this meeting knowing the start time was 5:30, please be aware that we have a confidential session coming up very close to the beginning of the meeting. If you are able, I will just say before I go any further, Councillor Riley is absent this evening due to work obligations, and Councillor Rayner is not well and is also unable to attend this evening's meeting. So I'll ask you now to stand, please, if you're able, for the Singing of O Canada. This is Smithville Christian School this evening. So prior to commencing this council meeting, I'd like to make the following announcements. The first, comments from the public for a matter that is on the agenda may be provided in person by attending the meeting and advising the chair during the request to address an item on the agenda section of the agenda. For those individuals that are unable to attend the meeting in person, you may, as always, submit comments for the matters that are on an agenda by either 1, emailing jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record. Or 2, by contacting the Clerk's Department to request a Zoom link to attend the meeting virtually. And finally, this meeting will be live streamed as well as recorded and available on the Township's website by visiting events.westlincoln/meetings. We'll begin as always with the land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendurunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And Councillor Trombetta, I'll turn to you for the opening petition this evening, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of the community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibilities to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, may we act wisely and well.
Thank you, Councillor. So, members of council, are there any changes in order of items on the agenda this evening? Okay. And seeing none, I will ask, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest?
I do, Madam Mayor. Just let me find the number
go ahead,
for
Councillor.
it, because I know where it is, but unless the clerk wants to whisper it in my ear instead of me going through it. Hold on a second. I'd like to. There it is. Yes, I'd like to declare a conflict of for item number 13.1. That I am the president on that board, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that takes us then to confidential matters. Councillor Bradrick, you have the resolution, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor, moved by myself that the next portion of this meeting be closed to the public to consider the following pursuant to Section 239, Bracket 2 of the Municipal Act 2001. 6.1, Director, Corporate Services, CFO, John Henry, Information Report, Information Technology Transition Update. Applicable closed session exemption, personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and the security of the property of the municipality or local board. 6.1, Director, Corporate Services, CFO, John Henry, Information Report, IT 01 2026, Information Technology Transition Update.
Thank you. And someone to second, please? Councillor Chichok, thank you. Okay. Show of hands, Mr. Clerk, or do you have that up? Show of hands, okay. All those in favor of moving into confidential at this point? And thank you, that carries. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we will clear the gallery. We will move into confidential session. Our goal is to be back on time to start our public meeting at 6:30. And so bear with us and join us again later on if you've been watching this. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are back in open session, and I'm going to turn to the clerk for the disclosure of confidential matters. Mr. Clerk.
Through the mayor, council passed the following resolution in confidential. That information report IT-01-2026 titled Information Technology Transition Update, and it was received for information.
Thank you. So an item that's a long-standing item always on our agenda is a request to address items on the agenda. Requests to address items on the agenda are restricted to specific items as follows per section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw. 6.7 states that there should be no comments from the public permitted at council unless A, a specific appointment has been scheduled, or B, an item is included under other business or communications or appointments section of the agenda and relates to a matter that would normally be dealt with at committee. So I'm going to ask, although I don't see anyone in the gallery who's interested in speaking this evening, and I'm going to go to you, Kevin. Is there anyone online who's indicated they wish to speak?
Not seeing any, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. So that does mean then that we'll begin our public meeting. So this is a public meeting to consider an application for a zoning bylaw amendment submitted by the owners, David and Maria Bartels, of 7997 16 Road, Concession 7, Part Lot 6, Part Lot 7, file number 1601-005-26. Zoning bylaw amendment from agricultural A zone to site-specific agricultural purposes only, or APO. The Planning Act requires in Section 34, subsection 12, and Section 39 that before passing a zoning bylaw amendment, council must hold a public meeting for the purpose of informing the public. The purpose of this public meeting is to receive comments from the public and is the only opportunity to provide council feedback with respect to the application. It is the function of council to listen to public comments and ask questions of clarification only. It is not the function of council to debate the merits of the application during the public meeting or respond to questions posed by the public during this public meeting. Should the public have any questions on the application, please contact planning staff and they will provide any information being requested. Please be aware that council debate of the application will occur later this meeting when the accompanying recommendation report regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is presented. In accordance with the Planning Act and the Minister, the applicant or specified person, public body, or registered landowner of any land to which the bylaw amendment will apply, who made oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions to council prior to the adoption and/or passage of the bylaw, may appeal the bylaw amendment to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So I'm going to turn to the clerk. Would you please, Mr. Clerk, advise the method and dates by which notice of the public was given?
Proper notice was given by way of email circulation to agencies and mail circulation to all residents within 120 meters of the subject property on July 8th, 2026. Public notice was also posted to the subject property, the township website, and the township administration building on July 8th, 2026.
Thank you. So I'm now going to turn to the Manager of Community and Planning and Design, Susan Smythe. Will you please, Susan, explain the purpose and reason for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of Committee Council, and those here in the gallery, which I don't see any.
Not too many.
No. So the purpose of this application was submitted by the owners and the applicants, the Bartels, and I do not see them here, so I will just be speaking on the matter. This is a condition of a consent, File B10-2025 WL, which received Committee of Adjustment approval on January 28th of 2026. So essentially, this property contains an existing detached dwelling, an accessory building used for agricultural uses, and as well as crops for agricultural production. The subject lands also contain some natural heritage features in the northeast portion of the property. However, this proposal has no impact on that. The property has a lot area approximately 58.95 acres that fronts onto 16 Road. So the application here is to rezone the property from agricultural zone to agricultural purposes only, because it will satisfy the condition of the farm surplus dwelling severance. So that zoning to APO will restrict any residential uses in the future and only to be used for agricultural purposes. It has a site-specific exemption number to recognize the deficient lot area of 23.7 hectares. That will be the retained lot. And the, yes, that will be the retained lot. The application will also rezone the severed parcel with the residential use from the agricultural zone to rural residential zone. That dwelling meets all the zoning requirements under RUR, including lot area and lot frontage, so there's no site-specific requirements for that property. The region and MPCA offered no objections or concerns to the proposal, and there were no public comments received. Thank you.
Thank you, very simple. So I'm now going to turn to members of council to see if they have any questions of clarification for administration with respect to this application. Okay, and seeing none, and since you've already mentioned that the Bartels are not here and neither is an authorized agent on their behalf, I think that just takes us down again to public submissions if there's any members of the public, and we don't have any. Is there anyone online, Kevin, who indicated that they wish to speak? So I'm going to go to members of committee, and do any members of committee have any questions at all of clarification? This is kind of your last opportunity to ask if you need to. Obviously, this is quite straightforward. Well done. And so I'm going to say the final comments then. Please be advised that a recommendation report will be brought forward later this meeting, whereby council will have the opportunity to debate the merits of this application and decide upon its recommendation. And I'm going to declare that with respect to this proposed zoning bylaw amendment, this meeting is concluded at the hour of 6:35. I think that is a record for shortness for a public meeting. In any case. Thank you, Ms. Smythe. So there are no appointments or presentations this evening, and that takes us then, Councillor Woodavine, to your remarks. Thank you for being here.
There we go. Well, glad to be here. Feeling a little riding a little low in the seat there. So.
Did it sink down? They have a way of going down lower and lower sometimes.
This way I can look up and see everybody. So good evening, Madam Mayor, and members of council, staff, members of the public. So I'd like to start by sharing Niagara Regional's growth report that we received. It's a year-end summary, and we will, I guess it'll be circulated to members of council shortly. So it's a 10-year forecast, and it's an increase of 10,000 individuals per year of our present population, and this is the goal over the 10 years. And then our present population stands at 551,000 with approximately 75,000 units in certain stages of approval, and soon, excuse me, to be built as the economy allows. And of course, this report will be circulated to the municipality shortly to see how they measure up within the region. With this report, we understand some challenges are infrastructure dependent. So on July the 14th, Public Works meeting, we received a report giving us a review of the short-term waste disposal capacity within the Niagara region. This information was requested as we are addressing a longer-term strategy. So the current state of the waste management goes like this. Niagara Region services 480,000 residents and businesses and currently manages roughly 116,000 tons of municipal solid waste. The region operates 2 landfill sites, Humberstone and Welland, and Niagara Road 12 in West Lincoln. These 2 sites manage 2/3 of the municipal solid waste, with Walker Environmental managing the difference in Thorold. Our Walker's contract was signed in 2011 and with a negotiated contract of 20 years, so this gives you councillors a reference to where we are and understand why we are taking on a long-term strategy into mid-2040. All considerations will be vetted as to give residents the best cost-effective and future of municipal solid waste. As many of you have heard, the announcement of the GO station in Grimsby by Metrolinx. This was a $50 million investment by the province and the town of Grimsby to create an official stop in Grimsby. This project is slated to commence over the next couple of years, and it will create opportunities for West Niagara for residential growth and employment opportunities, and hopefully we can add this to our community strategy in the coming years. And then in early July, we were reviewing the developmental charge overview and background study. And at the Niagara Region's DCs, paid for 70% of growth costs in existing structures. We all know that they also pay for water, wastewater, roads, parks, recs, and libraries, and many other services in our community. So we understand the eligible services are regulated by the province. So many changes from minor to major have happened over the last 6 to 7 years, and some days it feels like we're trying to hit a moving target. So with the province and the federal government wanting more homes built, this is the way for them to incentivize building. For West Lincoln and the Niagara region, we sit in the middle of the pack in the province's DCs. Traditionally, in DCs. So traditionally, DCs have been in the range of 6 to 8% of a house. So there's a caveat. On June the 1st, the province announced the DC reduction program. This is to kickstart the development sector and build housing enabling infrastructure. Municipalities need to reduce their DCs by 30 to 50% to be eligible for funding and to contribute a minimum of 10%. The amount of the grant tied to the amount of DC relief provided, quote, revenue loss plus municipal contribution, and the key is potential reductions applied to residential developments only and are limited to a 3-year period. So I'll let Mayor Ganand speak more towards our submission to the province on the strategy and direction of this. So on another highlight from our committee meeting this past month was our presentation by Matt McGinty. Everybody knows Matt, our Economic Development Officer from the region. So Matt gave us an update on the agriculture action plan and that he's working on in partnership with community partners. Some quick stats on that: 1,600 farms with average size of 126 acres. Total farmland in Niagara is actually 208,400 acres. And farming employs about 24,000 jobs with a GNP impact of $1.7 billion. So the Niagara Regional Economic Development wants to help in creating a blueprint for competitiveness and sustainability throughout the region. So the Niagara Federation of Agriculture is seen as an industry lead to assist in moving this forward. I think it would be good for us to invite Matt to one of our future meetings to better discuss the strategy and how we can be partners in this as well. We all know that we are the largest municipality and have the most farmland within Niagara region. So again, looking forward to going to AMO this coming weekend, and again, thank you for allowing me to present, and if there are any questions, I will answer them for you.
Okay. Are there any questions for Councillor Whitby? I don't see any hands. Thank you very much for your report this evening. That takes us then to confirmation of minutes, and Councillor Maychak, you have the council minutes from July 13th.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That the minutes relating to the July 13th, 2026 council includes all committees meeting be accepted.
Thank you. Someone to second those, please? Councillor Trombetta? Are there any questions or comments about those minutes? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, we can vote. Yeah, the first one takes a little bit longer to come up, but it should be in front of you. Okay, and that carries. Thank you. Item 12.2 is the public meeting under the Planning Act, also from July 13th, 2026, and Councillor Chichok, sorry, you have that.
I know we both have black on today, Madam Mayor, but
my
Anyway,
eyes jumped down to
he's
the
the better
next
looking
thing.
one. Move by myself and second, move by myself that the minutes relating to the July 13th, 2026 public meeting be accepted.
Thank you. And someone to second those, Counselor Bradrick. Okay, so I'm not going to ask for questions or comments since that was a public meeting. We'll go right to the vote, please. And that also should be in front of you. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, item 13 on our agenda is communications, and we have 3 items this evening. 13.1 is the conflict that was declared by Councillor Trombetta. And so I'm going to ask Councillor Bradrick if you would please read the resolution.
Yes, Madam Mayor, moved by myself that the revised Peninsula West Shareholders Agreement attached as Schedule A be approved.
Thank you. And someone to second that, please? Councillor Chichok, will you do that?
Sure.
Thank you. We don't have too many of us to choose from.
Usually there's a bevy of hands up.
That's right, but thank you for that. Okay, are there any questions or comments about that?
Yes.
Councillor Chichok, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I just wondered, this is a rather intense piece of information, and normally we would have an understanding of it, and I know that we're missing the person that would be our liaison to MPEI, but just wondered if we were ever going to have a chance somehow to understand what the major changes, what the thrust of the major changes were, before we had to vote on something as large as this.
Okay, and there were several changes, as I saw as well.
I read them.
A lot of red on that agreement.
And blue.
Is there anybody? Okay, we'll go to the clerk to see if he feels that there's something that he could add to this.
Through the chair, to Councillor Chichok, well, I do recognize that it was unknown that Councillor Rayner wouldn't be in attendance. This was forwarded to us for approval. However, noting that earlier today when I found out that Councillor Rayner would not be in attendance, I did speak to one of the board members, and if council so decided to refer this to September, that would be acceptable to the board. However, that would be the very latest that it could be pushed, as they can bring a representative, should that councillor again not be present, to speak to the item. However, I do recognize that no other member of council would have pertinent information to that. That was an option offered to us by the board for this specific situation earlier today, if council so chose to refer the item.
Thank you. So,
Of course,
so is that something you wish to do?
Well, conceding to the other members of council, but certainly it's an important piece
It is.
of what we think about. And I find it, because we don't have someone to do it, and we can go to the 15th of September, as indicated by another board member, I think it would only be appropriate and important that we take an understanding before we just simply pass it. So if we could, Madam Mayor, at the right time, I would say, let's refer it.
I think this is the right time.
I know. If we could refer this.
This is most definitely the right time,
I
because
thought
we
so,
have no
too.
one who can address those
Well, exactly. And
concerns.
while I did read it, and I became cross-eyed and
Yes.
rather sleepy when I was reading it, but I did persevere. And there's a lot in there that we should at least have a bird's eye view of it before we just simply agree and stamp it. So I'll make the motion to refer it to September 15th.
September 15th,
Or
14th?
whatever the appropriate day is.
Okay. So do we have someone to second that referral? Okay, Councillor Bradrick will second that. Okay, we'll wait for that. We'll give the clerk a second, okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Through the mayor, to Councillor Chichok, I will just read out the motion that this item be referred to the September 14th. It'll be Growth and Sustainability Committee meeting, as that is the first section. However, that would be the first time that we can get approval, and we can also include in that provision as well that it be given advanced approval to be sent to the committee, as it would require the council meeting at the very end of September for ratification. However, if council were to approve prior to that it be sent before, as their deadline was around mid-September.
Whatever it takes to get it done, but I think that appropriately that we also should make sure that there is someone in event that our own representative is unwell or whatever, or unable to attend, that we are able to find someone who can take that place and give us an understanding of the entirety of the document.
Through the chair, I will ensure that I'll follow up with that board member to get that representative here, regardless of whether that counselor is in attendance or not, just to provide the overview.
A feeling that, I mean, they did have a lawyer put it together as every line got a stroke out, which was probably $50 a stroke, but I'm sure there was someone that prepared the document, so the appropriate person, if not. Thank you.
So additionally, is there a possibility that we could actually ratify that decision at that meeting rather than waiting? And that way, our result is our result when the vote is taken? Okay, so we'll look into that as well. Thank you. Okay, thank you then. Okay, so the vote on referring this to the 14th Growth and Sustainability Committee meeting should be in front of you. And I think we're all very comfortable giving that a thought. Okay, so item 13.2 is the Office of the Integrity Commissioner. And so a Commissioner investigation report came back, and Councillor Maychak, you have the resolution.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, that the Integrity Commissioner report received on July 29, 2026 be received.
Thank you. And someone to second that,
I'll do
please?
that.
Councillor Sheetrock, thank you. Okay, so this does involve Councillor Rayner, and he's not here, but we did have an additional letter from the complainant asking us to address this in a different way. And so I do have a statement that we put together based on some consultation with the clerk's office and the CAO's office. So, members of council, as you are now aware, due to this correspondence item, earlier this spring, an Integrity Commissioner's complaint was filed against Councillor Mike Rayner by a resident of West Lincoln. After a thorough, unbiased investigation by the Township's Independent Integrity Commissioner, Councillor Rayner was found to have breached Sections 4.1, subsection E, and 9.2 of the West Lincoln Code of Conduct. The Integrity Commissioner accepted the councillor's explanation that his comments were, and I quote, an ill-conceived attempt at humor that landed poorly, and acknowledged that the councillor's apology to the complainant. Had Councillor Rayner been present this evening, I would have at this time offered him an opportunity to make a public apology. However, I would like instead to remind my fellow elected officials that we are never off duty. We must consistently be mindful that we respect individual rights and recognize that all persons are entitled to be treated equally with dignity and respect for personal status as outlined more thoroughly in item 4.1, subsection E. And additionally, the member of council shall treat all members of the public, one another, and staff with respect and without abuse, bullying, or intimidation, and ensure that their work environment is free from discrimination and harassment. This incident, which as advised by the Integrity Commissioner requires no further penalty, but it should serve as a reminder and learning opportunity for Councillor Rayner in particular, and additionally the remainder of council as we strive to protect the integrity and reputation of this council and the corporation of West Lincoln as a whole. So I'm now going to ask the clerk to put the vote up, please. This is just to receive the report. And that also carries. Okay, 13.3 is an item from Nancy Youngblood, and it's regarding the Harvesting Independence fundraising event for Bill Vitucci, and I think probably by now we're all aware of the serious nature of the accident that Bill had. And so this is a resident who could actually have just gone through the clerk's office to get permission for this event, but really wish to make it more public so that members of council and members of the public are well aware of the intent of this fundraiser that they're doing in November for Bill. So it's a little bit longer, Councillor Chichok, but I'm going to ask you to read that, please.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the correspondence received from Nancy Youngblood on August 7th, 2026 be received, and that Council of the Corporation of the Township of West Lincoln hereby designate the Harvesting Independence fundraising event for Bill Vitucci as a community festival of municipal significance in accordance with the Liquor License Act of Ontario and the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, being held at the West Niagara Agricultural Society, 7402 Mud Street, Grassy, Ontario, on Saturday, November 28th, 2026, from 6 p.m. until 1 a.m.
Thank you. Someone to second that, please. Councillor Trombetta? Are there any questions or comments about this item? Councillor Chichok?
Madam Mayor, Bill and his wife Kathy and their family have been certainly very respectable people in the community and have participated in a number of agricultural events, never mind the town-wide ones as the children were growing up. I see this as a great opportunity because Bill has not just taken this as a personal setback, but he is making amazing strides for anyone who's been watching his recovery from the accident. They would get great energy and great watching his stamina and his fortitude to take himself back to a place where he is capable of being an active part of their farm. And following him in the first 13 weeks, he made it from surgery and the fall to driving the combine and participating in harvest by himself for over 5 hours. A man of great will and stamina, and I congratulate him and his family for all that they've put into it, all the friends who have found the different equipment that he has up until now, but with any injury comes a lot of cost. I don't see this, this is a terrible cost to their family, both in Bill's setback, but also in the equipment that's necessary. But if you want to see what happens if you do end up with an injury, Bill is the accident to watch, because he
Quite
has
the role model at this point
he is
in
a
time
role
for-
model to us
for resiliency.
again. Yes, and I really would I would hope that the community would come out and embrace this and see how much more normal his life has become in the first 18 weeks of his injury. He's a great guy. His family is greatly supportive, and he's a model to other people who have suffered life-threatening accidents and or setbacks that leave part of the body less functional than it was.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anything further from anyone? Okay, so that will be in front of you as well. The vote is there. Please vote accordingly. And that carries. Good way to support a community member. So that takes us to item 14 on our agenda, which are the mayor's remarks. And so I'll begin for August 10th. Since our all-committee council meeting on July 13th, I've had the opportunity to engage with various groups and organizations on behalf of our municipality. July 15th, I spent the day at the West Niagara Agricultural Centre at the invitation of the Greenbelt Foundation to take part in and learn from experts regarding soil health and water quality. Regional Councillor Witteveen was also in attendance that day. That same evening, as the poor air quality set in due to the forest fires in Northern Ontario, John and I attended the first Roots and Rhythms event of the summer that was unfortunately forced to move inside our West Lincoln Community Centre due to the poor air quality. Staff, vendors, local groups, including the Friends of the Library, who are raising funds for the replacement of worn children's furniture, and the musicians all pivoted extremely well in response to this somewhat unusual and unpredictable situation. I was pleased to